Assalamu alaikum. You're watching the Pakistan Television World's special transmission regarding the Kashmir Solidarity Day. As we all know, today is the 5th of February. Uh, Whatever is going on in the Indian occupied state of Kashmir, we all know, the whole world is aware of that. But I think this day is observed just to make sure that we should show our support, our moral support, our diplomatic support, our support in any form to our Kashmiri brothers and sisters who are suffering by the ongoing atrocities of the Indian armed forces. As we all know, more than 750,000 Indian troops are still deployed in that state to curb this indigenous and homegrown movement of independence. All they want is that Kashmir or Kashmir's status should be decided through a proper referendum, through the wishes of the people who live there. But as we all know, that the Indians are changing the demographics out there. A lot is going on various fronts, just to make sure that this movement of freedom should be shown to the entire globe as some sort of a terrorist activity. And at the same time, having said that, change the basic demographics, bring in more people from all parts of India, take away the rights of the Kashmiri people, impose curfew. As we all know, post the death of Mr. Wani there, who was a young, I would say, young boy. There was this movement led by him, and he was unfortunately killed very brutally by the Indian forces. And then we saw that this movement gained another momentum, and that is still continue, and it will continue to grow. As we all are observing this Kashmir Solidarity Day, so we have decided to do a transmission. We'll be having a few guests, and we'll be talking about it. This is going to be for 2 hours. Let me introduce you to our panelists in the first segment. We have with us in our studio Nafees Zakaria Saab, the Foreign Office spokesperson, so thank you very much. And we also have with us Altaf Hussain Wani Saab, the leader of APHC, so thank you very much. First of all, Nafees Zakaria Saab, a lot has been happening. We keep exchanging sometimes harsh words. There was this statement issued by the DGISPR regarding India. It seems that post Narendra Modi, things are not the same. The Indian mood is very hostile towards Pakistan just because we support the Kashmir cause, sir. Whether it's the diplomatic support, or it's the political support, or it's the moral support. Let's start off from there, sir. Your take.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I think you have very rightly pointed out that the state of relations post the new government over there, the present government over there, has been down the slide. And the policies of the current government of India towards Pakistan has not been very friendly. We have shown, as you are aware, that the government of Pakistan follows a policy of good neighborly relations, including with India. And the basic idea is to benefit from the potential that this region holds for the poverty-stricken people in this region. But this relationship has been, has not seen the fruits that could have been seen in terms of exploitation of the economic potential of this region, because of the contentious issue between Pakistan and India, and main bone of contention between the two countries is the Kashmir dispute.
Correct.
This dispute basically is on the UN Security Council agenda for the last 70 years now, and it has on a number of resolutions, UN Security Council resolutions. The basic purpose or the idea or the theme of those resolutions are to give the right to self-determination to the Kashmiri people in Jammu and Kashmir under a UN organized or supervised plebiscite. But what has happened is that unfortunately India has not allowed that situation to, that conducive situation to be there on ground, so that UN organization could hold the plebiscite. But in the process, what has happened is that the political side of the dispute is one aspect. The other side, which has come to the fore over these years, is the humanitarian side.
Absolutely.
And the humanitarian side is the most gruesome part of this entire issue of Kashmir, because the people of Kashmir in Indian occupied Kashmir have been suffering for since 1947. I would just take you back to the first week of November 1947 when Indian forces had already landed over there unlawfully, and they joined by the RSS, terrorist, Hindu activists, extremist elements, and the Maharaja's forces. They killed more than 500,000 Kashmiris. And the drive was basically, the genocide was, the purpose behind the genocide was to tilt the balance, actually, change the demography, and do the ethnic cleansing to get rid of the
That's still going
Kashmiri.
on, sir.
That is still going on. You very rightly said. It has been happening in every era, in by the successive governments at the center over there, and they had been actually pulling the strings, and they had been taking all measures to make Kashmiris suffer over there. You mentioned about Burhan Muzaffar Wani's extrajudicial killing on 8th of July last year, and since then there is a the ongoing uprising. This is the that I would say the episode, or this particular current phase, is a continuation of the phase that started in 40s, and Kashmiris are still looking for their right to self-determination. They're still waiting for the promises that is enshrined in the or contained in the UN Security Council resolutions to be fulfilled, and that has not happened. But in the meantime, what has happened is that there had been a lot of bloodshed of Kashmiris over there. There had been massacres carried out by the Indian occupation forces. The women, they have been dishonored time and again. Every day they face this humiliation at the hands of Indian occupation forces over there. You mentioned about 700,000 plus troops, according to Kashmiri estimates, that the number is more than 1 million.
That's what we have heard as well,
so
yes.
India says there is no problem. So if there is no problem, why is such a huge presence of the forces over there? Why these forces are not in any other part of India? I'm going to say, if everything is normal in Kashmir. And they also say that Kashmir is the integral part of India. By this way, by virtue of this particular statement, they actually violate the this UN Security Council resolutions, and also by way of bringing in the change in demography of the territory under the occupation or illegal occupation, is also a direct violation of the UN Security Council resolutions. Because if you go through the resolutions, that actually calls for it prohibits any material change, and the change in demography is a material change.
It is happening,
Yeah, it
yes.
is. So they, on all counts, whether it is human rights violations, genocide, persecution, ethnic cleansing, treatment to people, denial of fundamental rights, name anything, then they have those lawless laws over there.
Those draconian laws,
the
quota for
draconian
that
laws,
matter, yeah.
and they are all in violation of the UN Charter. They are all in violation of the UN Security Council resolutions, relevant resolutions on Kashmir. I think 5th of February is one occasion which actually provides an opportunity to the people in Pakistan, to the people of Pakistan abroad, the successive governments in Pakistan, to reassure the Kashmiris that we are with them, to remind people of the international community and the UN organization and the other civil societies that this festering issue is still unresolved, and it has actually a potential to destabilize the region. It has the potential to create a perilous
So
situation for the
Pakistan has
entire
already fought
region.
4 wars with India over the Kashmir issue, and now they're talking about blocking our water. That is going to be another huge area of concern, I would say,
Yes,
in the coming days. Now, Wani sir, first of all, a couple of questions. Obviously, I want you to continue the debate from here. But now, do you believe that when Pakistan came into being, youth had a very major role to play? And now, once again, we have witnessing rather, that the youth of Kashmir, which is around 68% as far as the population is concerned, they are on the road, sir. They are happy that the Indians are killing them because they believe that they do not have any fear now. These statements which we have been hearing over the last couple of, I would say, months. Please, sir.
Yeah, actually, the youth have always played the vital role in Kashmir's freedom struggle, and in everywhere in the world, wherever there is freedom struggle, the youth played a vital role over there. And same has been done by the Kashmiri youth over the last 70 odd years in each and every phase of this moment, be that it was political, or they took the arms, or they took the street protests and all that. They are doing it, and in current phase also, they are on the roads. They are carrying out their mission for their freedom over there. Going back, the history of today, what we are celebrating at the Solidarity Day with the people of Kashmir in Pakistan. You see the relations between the people of Kashmir and people of Pakistan. Even before Pakistan came into being, when there was a civil rights movement in Kashmir against the Maharaja, they drew the support from this part of the world. That's all that support, the political support, the moral support that Kashmiri civil rights movement got. Its epicenter was Lahore at that time. From there, the Kashmir Committee was formed and all that. It happened from that time. And when the partition plan on 3rd June came into being, on 19th of July 1947, before Pakistan came into existence, actually, the people of Kashmir decided that they will join Pakistan. The political leadership at that time, they decided to join Pakistan. So these bonds are so close. Now it's not a new phenomenon, it's very old phenomenon. And the way the Pakistanis celebrate this day, this is just a one day, but we see for the whole time, the people of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, the civil society of Pakistan has always been supportive of the rights struggle of the people of Kashmir.
Wani, primarily, if I may ask you this question, that are you satisfied with the kind of effort Pakistan has made so far? What would be your answer?
See, frankly speaking, Pakistan has been doing a lot to create an awareness at the international level, to create awareness inside the Pakistan, and also Pakistan has supported the Kashmiris' rights movement on diplomatic, political, and all sorts of, and it's continuing to do so. And we see during this period of time, if we'll say in past also, when the Prime Minister went to the Union General Assembly, he raised the issue very loud and clear about the people's rights of people of Kashmir, and also felt that is a failure of United Nations that has failed so far to resolve the problem of Kashmir, to give the people of Kashmir.
A couple of other Muslim leaders also were very blunt and very straight this time regarding Kashmir.
Yeah,
Turkish president.
Also the same way. You see, it's a kind of awareness which has been created by Pakistan. You see voices around the world about the concerns about the issue of Kashmir. But what we want these concerns should go rather. They should move towards that not mere concerns. Now there should be a condemnation of India, what India is doing, and India should be held responsible what India is doing over there.
So a lot more needs to be done if we really want to achieve those targets. But first of all, let me welcome Mushaal Mullick. Thank you very much for taking out your time as we are doing this special transmission on the 5th of February to observe the Kashmir Solidarity Day. But since the gentleman has to leave, so let me just have a quick word. Sir, now the current standing, I mean, how optimistic are you as far as the dialogue process is concerned? Because we can't move forward unless until we talk.
Well, I think a dialogue, it takes two to tango. Basically, India is in no mood to enter into any sort of dialogue. If you look at the gesture, the body language, the kind of statements that are emanating from there, the kind of approach they have adopted towards Pakistan, it's all hostile. You just look at, go back to Heart of Asia meeting, the kind of behavior they have displayed, which was very unethical, and entire, all the other participants actually criticize those two countries. And then you go back to BRICS, again, Pakistan was not part of that BRICS, and still India was completely obsessed to have some word on Pakistan, about some negative word about Pakistan.
And I mean, they just find any platform and will go after us.
This is all
they try
centered.
to malign Pakistan at every forum.
Actually, this is all centered on the issue of Kashmir. Had there been any other contentious issue, I think they would have come to us, but it's about Kashmir. So that actually signifies also the importance of Kashmir For Pakistan, definitely, he very rightly mentioned we had standstill agreement with the Maharaja, and because of the reason that the entire world from Kashmir to the rest of the world would pass through every movement of whether commodities, of the people or anything that passes through the Pakistani territory, which is now Pakistan. So that is a natural bond which we have. That is a natural claim that we have. And I think for all, on all counts, on the basis of which the partition plan was designed or agreed upon, it all called for Kashmir should have been part of Pakistan. Kashmir should have been with Pakistan. And I think the deceit I had been talking about on various occasions, how Lord Mountbatten and Ratcliffe and the Congress leaders, they connived against Pakistan, against the Kashmiri people. At the end of the day, what we need to see, what we need to see, it's not about now optimism or having some sort of a hope that we will engage. We are more concerned about the plight of the Kashmiri people. You see, you have to see that each time any incidents that happens over there, Kashmiris are the main sufferer. By now we have not thousands but hundreds of thousands of families who have suffered at the hands of Indian occupied forces and occupation forces. And if you just knock any door in the Indian occupied Kashmir, you will always find somebody, that house would be affected on one count or the other. I think this is what we need to, and this is what we are focusing on, and this is what the entire world should focus on. And Alhamdulillah, I think our efforts, we are continuing with this effort. Government of Pakistan is making vigorous efforts to sensitize the world on the plight of Kashmiris. We have been able to mobilize people and the public opinion, international opinion. I tell you one thing, that there are many events that are going on at the moment across the world on Kashmir to create awareness about what's happening in Kashmir. It's not just one or two countries, as you mentioned, that the leaders have been vociferous. But I think if you look at the OIC, which is a group of 57 countries, if you look at their declaration, if you look at their
recent declaration, yes,
yeah, recent declaration. If you look at the 43rd session of ICFM, which was held in Tashkent, you will realize that they have been very, very strong. It's the the declarations and the resolutions have been very strongly worded, condemning India, completely rejecting India's notion of associating the indigenous self-determination movement with the terrorism. India has miserably failed, and this is what India is bothered about and bugged, and they are trying their level best to distract the world attention from what's going on in Indian occupied Kashmir, because this is where the entire world is focused. I think time is not very far when we would see some sort of a movement, some sort of a pressure which will actually lead to independent inquiry or investigation into the human rights violations over there, because it is an outstanding requirement or demand of the High Commissioner, the Commissioner of the Human Rights in Geneva. He has said this thing at the official meeting also. OIC has asked for the same. There are members of the parliament in different parliaments who have asked for same investigation. Now, my point on this particular occasion of Solidarity Day would be that it is not just one occasion that we should be observing. There are many occasions on which we can actually raise the voice for Kashmiris, and this is what they are actually looking forward to. And the sufferings of the Kashmiri people during every massacre which happened, which was committed during last 40 years, that could be observed as a day of expression of solidarity. And each time we should demand from the international community, from the world bodies, to take India to task, so that those who have suffered at the hands of Indian forces, they should actually start hoping for some sort of a justice.
I think that is something very important. Mushaal, now coming to you, first of all, please do inform the viewers about the status of your husband. How is he doing? Is he still in the custody of the Indian occupied forces, or is he hospitalized? Because last time we spoke, he wasn't well. Let's start off from there, ma'am.
Thank you for your concern. He is not well, but he's continuing with his political works, his jalsas and rallies. But he gets arrested each time. But for the past 3 to 4 days, he has not been arrested so far. But you never know. We're talking right now. He could get arrested any moment. So, and that is part of the freedom struggle. That's his second home, jail. He's not scared of that. Nor are the other Hurriyat leaders. But coming to the current situation over there, it's scary. It's oscillating between grisly and gruesome. For the past 69 years, this conflict has totally plagued the life of the Kashmiri people, and I mean, they're denied their legitimate right to self-determination. I mean, if you look at this entire region of South Asia, every nation has been given that right to freedom except for the Kashmiri people. How unfair it is that, we are in the 21st century. It's a time of global economies and global peace, and all these slogans are very popular. But on ground, whatever you see that's taking place in occupied Jammu and Kashmir, it is worse than jungle law. You are pelleting, you are using phosphorus shells, these Indians, Pawa shells, on unarmed, dispossessed Kashmiri people who are just asking for their right to freedom, for their right to democracy, for a say in their future. But how India is responding to it, and then it is trying to play the victim card each time. India is the aggressive force, they're killing, but when they go on international platforms, they keep saying that it is a movement of terror from the Kashmiris and it is sponsored by Pakistan. How can they possibly do that? Mani Shankar, one of their politicians, he
Mani
said
Shankar
it.
Iyer,
Yeah, he said it last year that we should stop blaming Pakistan for everything. Now we should look at our own,
Let's look
faults and
inwards
yes.
now.
But it's a
And there was
complete
this
denial.
delegation, if you remember, which went to
yes.
Kashmir, and they came up with the report, and most of these guys were from BJP, interestingly, Ishwant Sinha's report. And he said we need to understand what the problem is.
Yes.
Just by killing our own people. I mean, do you want Kashmir, or if you just want the piece of land, is that what you call Kashmir, or you call Kashmir along with the people of that area?
But
That's
they have
the
a
point.
very autocratic approach of a land grabber mafia approach over there in Kashmir. They're just what they're doing right now is issuing these residency certificates to non-Kashmiri and non-Jammuites.
That's correct.
Trying to change the demography, passing laws through the Supreme Court that they can take away all the finances of the Kashmiri people and their assets, and they can, their economic rights are being snatched, their political rights are being snatched, their right to live, right to breathe, and even when they're mourning, they're going out in funerals, they're killing people. I mean, they can't even mourn, the Kashmiris, they can't live, they can't get education.
They can't even pray in the mosques.
They can't pray in the mosque, religious, there's no free
Yes,
religious,
religious
right
freedom at
over
all.
there.
Correct.
But coming to the economic rights, because this movement, the core, the main factor that's going to keep this movement alive, apart from the passion of the people, is that economically they have to be stable. But for that, I think, as Nafees Zakaria was mentioning, the government of Pakistan should also take a very tough stance that they should go to the World Economic Forum. That's my suggestion. I'm going to be contacting them myself. That this is also a part of the globe. It's not on some other planet, Mars or Jupiter. Kashmir is very much on this earth. The way our economic rights are being suppressed, our livelihood suffers during these months-long army curfews over there. They're just like a de facto martial law going on over there by the Indian state. So how are we going to survive our livelihood? Who's going to feed us when there are months and months of ban on economic goods, there's an economic ban and there's medical emergency? Who is going to help us when they're not being allowed to get any kind of financial aid or foreign aid from any of the world organizations? So what's the way forward for the Kashmiri people?
Ma'am, as far as the effort by the Pakistani government is concerned, so far, okay, just observing this particular day as the Kashmir Solidarity Day, or issuing a couple of statements, even at the highest level, is that enough, or what else is needed in order to make sure that it's illuminated to that level that people can actually see this.
Efforts are not enough, as always, because I mean, whatever that they can do is good. We appreciate the speech of the Pakistani Prime Minister at the United Nations, but the way the war crimes that are being committed by the Indian side, I believe that whatever effort I'm making or the Hurriyat leadership, it will never be enough till we get our right to self-determination. We will always be restless, we will always be unsatisfied, because the goal is so high and the crime rate and the human rights violations is at such high gross level that it's not, I'm not criticizing the government, but we need to really do our diplomacy at war footing. And the way Mr. Nafees Zakaria said that international bodies must take notice and must punish the occupation forces for the war crimes and the human rights violation that they're doing. My suggestion is that they should have this commission of lawyers over here within Pakistan, and they should have all these experts on the, because Kashmir is also a legal issue. We have resolutions on it. They should take this commission to the International Court of Justice, and these lawyers, these experts, we need their legal expertise. They should go there and challenge the Indian crimes by the Indian occupation forces, and they should be prosecuted. There should be a case of treason against them.
And I totally agree with you. Wani sahab, there's this concept of doctors beyond borders. There's a group of people, I mean, like it's a huge group. They go to places like Yemen, for that matter, or Syria, and places, you know, where there's a conflict and people are dying. Don't you think like there should be not only doctors beyond borders looking after the Kashmiri youth who've been blinded, there should be lawyers beyond borders too, who should be neutral, should be present there. At least they should observe, stay there for a month, and then have a report about it.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not happening. India is not allowing any international agency, anybody, to go there to have on-ground reports on the ground, what's happening over there. Recently, you saw one report from the Physicians for Human Rights.
Yes.
Actually, they themselves were not on the ground. Even they were not allowed to go there. They had all the video conversation. They had they interviewed the people through video links and all that, and they got the reports. All that the report they published, the report they had, that speaks volumes of what India is doing actually on the ground. How India is violating all international norms
Yes.
of crowd control. How India is violating the medical. They denied the medical assistance to the people. The right to health, actually the right to health, which is guaranteed in the International Covenant to Civil and Political Rights, that right is also been denied to the people of Kashmir. And how they, as Madam also said, how the Indian forces, they attacked the ambulances, they attacked the hospitals, they snatched the injured persons and they tortured those and they killed them.
Some of the videos were so disturbing that there was this man who was bleeding, and they literally grabbed him and they pulled him out of the ambulance.
This is not one incident. There's hundreds of such incidences.
And yeah, exactly,
that
this is what I
brave
mean.
driver who was fired at, his arm got injured, but even then he drove the ambulance to the hospital. But there are lots of such incidences. India has been doing it. It's our wish and we call for it, that there should be such agencies who will come over there, who should have.
So these kinds
but unfortunately,
of atrocities are committed because of out of frustration or something.
Yeah, you see,
is this case getting out of the Indian?
Yeah, that's what the Indian, even the BJP leaders, even Indian civil society, they have come with the reports. The report you were referring to, Yashwant Sinha, who was leading a delegation.
Yes.
They came with this, that there is no fear in Kashmiri youth now. They don't fear about the India is firing bullets or pellets over there.
They're thanking the Indian government for that.
They are thanking for Indian. So what India is doing, it's out of frustration. They knew that none in the Kashmir is with the India. Nobody is going to be suppressed by the Indians, all the efforts which Indian government has been doing over the years. So it's out of frustration. They want to kill the people. They have already, Madam mentioned, Nafees Zakaria Sahab mentioned that to change the demography, to do all that through other means, through constitutional means, to grab the whatever authority that puppet regime has there, to have that authority also with the center, and by that annexes totally Kashmir with the Indian domain. But the people of Kashmir, the way the people of Kashmir are resisting to the Indian oppression, their subjugation, then at that level, the Indian government is total out of frustration. They are using the force, more and more force, and they are recruiting more and more people in the army and other places to have more presence of troops over there.
Correct.
But we have the figures that there are 700,000, 800,000 troops over there. These are the people in uniform, but you don't know how many people are without uniform
Yes,
who are
that's another very
performing
important point.
these operations over there. Some in the name of Territorial Army Task Force and other
Yeah.
village defense committees and all that. So lots of people, lots of things which India is doing. It's out of frustration, but unfortunately, India is not getting that sort of stick from the international community.
And that is
International
the
community is
most
failing.
tragic part of the entire story. So we'll take a short break here. We'll take a break. We'll return and we'll continue our discussion. Stay with us.
खैरियत से हो?
Welcome back. Now, Mushaal, a couple of points. Now, earlier, since we were talking in the break, that, we always use this word peaceful demonstration, peaceful struggle. But when you're talking about youth, how long can you contain that energy? Do you think at some stage this is going to get out of the hands of even
Yes,
Kashmiris?
you're right about that. It's not just about the youth, it's about human dignity, human honor. If somebody is raping your sister, they're killing your brothers, they're disappearing, they're missing persons in your home. The Indian army has taken them, you don't even know if they're dead or alive. And then they're burning your rice fields, they're humiliating your father, they're taking him to jail. I mean, all these things are happening with your family, with every Kashmiri family. How long can they take this? Because it's a very long struggle already. Freedom struggles are very long, but the kind of humiliation, torture that the Kashmiri people go through, Wani is one of the examples, but there are thousands and thousands of other families that are going through the same kind of tragedies. And I know a lot of women over there who are just sitting outside their courts and their police stations trying to find out about their missing relatives, and the way they're humiliated and they're beaten and they're molested and harassed on a daily basis. And if you ask a young girl or even an old woman over there who's walking on the streets of occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and you have almost 900,000 paramilitary and Indian forces over there, she says the kind of way, that's the sight, the way they look at us, it's like they're raping us. I mean, so what about that rape that they go through on a daily basis when they're interrogated, when they are humiliated, when they're abused by the forces, the women. So there is a lot of resentment in the society, and my husband had warned many a times before that, the way the world is ignoring and just selective condemnation and selective, action. They don't see what's happening in Kashmir. And one day when this lava will explode and this pressure cooker will burst, then it will be too late for the world to realize that, it was a
Mushaal,
peaceful
whenever you
movement,
meet the foreign
and it will become a
diplomats
bigger risk.
in Pakistan, the primary, their point of view is that, it is a problem between Pakistan and India. So they need to resolve it. They always try to sort of stay away from this particular debate. How can we engage, whether through television, media, or through other means? How can we engage the foreign diplomats within Islamabad to sort of highlight this issue? Should we conduct more workshops or have more seminars like you do? So what
Yes,
kind
we must have more workshops and seminars, and we should engage Nobel laureates also into it, because if it's peace prize and everybody talks about peace today, that's the slogan of all these NGOs. But has this NGO and this conference and seminar thing become a business now, that intellectuals come there, it happens in posh hotels, and there's a media over there, then the press release is registered, is printed in all the newspapers, and then it's over. But my main focus now is that apart from the diplomats, I see a lack of public presence in Pakistan for the Kashmir cause. They come out in small protests. Everybody condemns whatever is happening in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But now I'm kind of sick and tired of all these round table conferences over here. I think we need to work
They're not
on
giving you the desired results,
No,
right?
I mean, they've been happening for years and years and years, but they should keep on going. But at grassroots level, we need to educate the youth of Pakistan, the public of Pakistan, that when Farhan, Wani or other such youth icons are killed by the Indian forces, or our sisters are raped over there, there should be protests, there should be a strong voice coming from the public of Pakistan.
I think that's
Their
very important, yeah.
representatives can come in seminars. Even my husband was saying the other day, he's like, it's good you attend these conferences, and that's a good way that, you know, some ideas emerge and everything. But don't you think that we need to work at a grassroots level, start these public mass campaigns?
Go to schools,
So
talk
that's
to
what
the
I'm
youth.
doing. From 5th February onwards, I have launched this Kashmir campaign. All over Pakistan, we'll be having rallies and jalsas, and I announced it last week, and you'd be surprised that I am getting invitations from Sialkot, from Sindh, from Balochistan, from FATA, the educational
It's kind of a
institutes.
public
They want
awareness
to know.
scheme.
They want us to go and touch base with them. They don't
I think
just
that is
want
a
to
very good
meet
idea,
us
very
through the
important.
television.
Absolutely.
So that's what I think, that's where we are lacking. And when the public of Pakistan will be on the roads, there'll be a public pressure. I'm dead sure the diplomats in the international world and the international
They will
papers will make
realize.
headlines.
Last closing remarks for this segment, Wani sir.
See, we are very thankful to the people of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan. They are showing the solidarity with the people of Kashmir for their struggle for right to self-determination. But as Michelle said, we need to have more public presence everywhere. People of all segments of society should come out to show the solidarity and to show the international opinion that really people of Pakistan are concerned for the people of occupied Jammu and Kashmir who are suffering at the hands of Indian occupational forces. I think when the whole nation will come out, then only the international opinion can be changed. And
That is the way forward, and that is how you exert pressure on a country like India. Anyway, Mushaal Mullick, thank you very much. Wani sir, it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break, but we'll continue our transmission, and we'll be having more guests in the next transmission. Stay with us.